So once again, I'm going to cheat and ask my next guest, Paloma Cabello, am I pronouncing your last name correctly? To tell us a little bit about who she is, where she's from, and why she has any authority to speak to such an august audience.
That's a tough one. I would say that it was a tough one. I'm from Spain. I am a finance professional. I work in the alternative investments arena and in the private equity arena. I'm also a venture capital professional. I have a $2 billion track record in alternative investment, and I have helped more than 25 startups to grow as an advisor. I'm also an angel investor, and I'm currently serving in the board of 10 companies and institutions. I'm also a mother of 4 and grown-ups. And I divide what I do essentially in 3 buckets. One is working, earning my living. I very much enjoy finance. I love what I do. I love investing, I love creating, and I'm a very proud member of the finance community in my country and also across Europe. The second thing that I do is not second in my interest order, but I'm a mother. I mean, I'm a family person, and I take care of my kids, and we are a dorm, we are a happy gang. But the third thing that I do is what has to do the most, the reason why I'm here. That is, I'm committed to fostering talent. I am a very highly admirer of talent. And also, I believe that entrepreneurship, which is a great bucket of talent, is what we need to foster, especially in countries such as mine, where resources are scarce. So we do need, our generation cannot avoid doing the best we can to foster our entrepreneurial community. So I do that. I belong to the MIT Enterprise Forum of Spain that I co-founded together with 4 friends 2 years ago. I'm a very proud member of the Global Advisory Board. Thank you guys for your trust, which is a privilege. And I'm also committed with the Congress of Brilliant Minds in my country and with the Foundation for Exceptional Talent and for the best practices in finance as well. So fostering talent and entrepreneurship is not only, for me, it's not only something that I like doing, but it's something that I feel as an obligation. I think our generation needs to do this now. And that's the reason why I'm here.
Paloma, what are alternative investments?
Alternative means, well, in very simple terms, is something that has to do with not the regular way of doing things in the capital markets. Alternative investments is value investing, for example. Investing in things that other people will think that is not valuable, but you see the value, and then you turn around things, and you're capable to create value out of that.
Can you give the audience an example?
An example?
From your own investments.
Yes. Alternative, for example, will be investing in equities or debt from a public company or private company that nobody likes for whatever reason. Sometimes there are good companies that are undervalued for one reason or the other. For example, in Spain, or probably here in Greece, we have good companies that because of we are not looking as good from outside as a country, will be seen as not very good investment targets. But if you have sound analysis skills and you really drive your decisions on fundamentals, and you're capable to abstract yourself from sentiment and look into fundamentals only, you are able to find the value. And that's what we do.
So, a question for the audience. By a show of hands, how many of you actually are entrepreneurs right now, or have been in the past? Almost everyone. So, here's what they're thinking, if I may speak for you. How do I position myself? How do I groom myself to be attractive to you as an investor? So what do you look for as an investor when you're talking to the people out in the audience?
Well, an investor, I mean, the deal with an investor is very simple. An investor is somebody that is putting the money on the table in exchange of a return within a given time frame. And that is very simple. I mean,
I don't think entrepreneurs often understand that, what that actually means from your point of view, though.
But that is very simple. I think what investors would offer to anybody is, I mean, you're making a deal with me. This is your business plan. I mean, we both believe in the market opportunity. That's something that you share very closely. Otherwise, the deal doesn't make sense. So we both believe in the existence of a market and in the existence of an opportunity for whoever in that market. Now I need to believe that you as a team and your plans are a good option to take advantage of that opportunity the two of us will believe in. And then we make a deal. You tell me how and when is very important, this is going to happen. How and when you're making this happening. I trust you. We make this deal. I put my money on the table. And we are talking about achievements and time. Time matters for me because internal rate of return, you know, it's driven by time as well. I don't want to earn the same amount of money taking double time because my rate will go down by half. So we're talking about what you are willing to do, what you are committing with me doing within a time frame. And then we make the deal. And then I expect you to be a good user of the money or of the resources, and I expect you to stick to the curves because that is the deal you made with me. And then I'm also good at, I mean, I played my part. I gave you the money, and I'm dead after that, essentially. So if the understanding is good, and also we share the same goal, we want this company to create this kind of value within this time frame. The two of us want the same thing. So we should work together.
It has been my observation that the thing that entrepreneurs least understand about the investor's point of view is your preoccupation with time and the rate of return over time. And that's why benchmarks are so tremendously important to investors. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Paul, but from your perspective. What makes for a good entrepreneur to you? So Paul described what it's like for him to be an entrepreneur. But when you look from the outside trying to choose teams to invest in, what are you looking for?
It's a very difficult to answer question.
That's why I asked
I would say as a professional, as an investment professional, I would say that it is very important, and one of the most important things that an entrepreneur should have is the ability to execute. It's not only having a sound understanding of the market, because many people would have a kind of sound understanding of the market. But you need to understand which is the actual opportunity, which is not that obvious. But not only that, because also you could iterate that somehow. But what is not something that you could iterate or you know, trade for something else is your ability to stick to the curves. You have resources, you have people, you have an opportunity, you have a time frame, and you need to execute. And people who actually execute are the people that I will favor the most to invest in. Actually, even if I don't think that they have a totally sound understanding of the market, we can help on that. There's lots we can do from the investment side to help people understand better markets or opportunities or distribution schemes. One thing that we cannot do is helping people to be executional. So to me, my fab teams are those who are executional, sticking to the curves and using resources well.
How common is it for founders to be equally good at the different evolutionary stages of a company in terms of executing? Do you find many entrepreneurs who are very good in the early stages but perhaps need to be replaced later? Or even entrepreneurs who come into their own perhaps as the company gets larger?
That's a very interesting thing. I think that many entrepreneurs are good at the beginning. But having a company growing, especially if you're being successful, and especially if you need to push growth with, by rolling your sleeves and twisting ops, etc., and managing lots of resources at the same time, it is very hard to find entrepreneurs that are really capable to play the same role at the beginning and in the end. And I think that it's very important, and it's very interesting, your question, because let me reflect together with you. If I'm an entrepreneur, I have this idea, the idea is working, things are going well, and then I find that, I really cannot grow the way I should. And maybe the market is growing, and things are going as I expected from outside, but I'm not doing as I should. I think this should make reflect to many entrepreneurs. I am the right CEO for my own startup, or maybe I should act as a businessman. I should be at the top of the things I know how to do, and I should team up with somebody that is going to be capable to help in the other sides where I'm not an expert, and also maybe I just don't like it. It's not my nature. I mean, I like, for example, being an amazing CTO, but I don't like being a CEO. Okay, team up with somebody. It's a resource as important as any other. Talent and teams are a very important resource, and you should provide yourself with the best available possibility on that. And maybe you're not the best.
How often do people recognize that limitation, and how do you have that conversation with them when it's necessary to say, we need to bring in someone else to be the CEO?
Well, conversations between the investors and the startups are a very interesting subject to talk about. It is a tricky thing, because when you're dealing with entrepreneurs, you're dealing with passion. So if you just put yourself in front of them and say, hey, you're not the right guy for this, probably that passion is going to explode, and things between you and entrepreneurs are not going to be the same for a while, and maybe you're not interested in that. So you try to be very careful when you speak with entrepreneurs, but I have to say that sound people would understand sound argumentations. And we do have this kind of conversation all the time, not only with regards to this, but also to anything managing. And how often people should be ready to listen to this? I would say, to be honest, rarely. Very, very rarely.
Well, it's not tremendously surprising, because you're taking away their, or you're shifting them to a different emphasis. I asked the same question to Paul, but let me ask it to you in another way. Why does technology entrepreneurship matter so much? So you're from Spain, which has its own economic problems, and I know you feel passionately about that. You brought that passion to the advisory board of the Enterprise Forum. Talk to a Greek audience about why you care about this subject so much.
I think that it is for a fact that technology is changing the world. I mean, whenever there is a problem, technology is at least part of the solution. That's yours.
I do say that.
And I very much agree with that. All our industries, the way things are being done in every sector of the economy, are going to be very deeply impacted by technology, very profoundly impacted by technology in the next few years. And I think this is going to happen from now on at a faster pace than it used to in the past, for a number of reasons. So any country, any community should look at what they're doing and should need to make a big effort to understand what is technology going to do with this that we're doing now. Because if you don't do that, you're going to lose competitiveness. What you need to wonder, what your place in the next world to come, that is here right now, it's quite close, is to be. That's one reason. Another reason is, I think that we are, Spain, Greece, other countries, I would say Europe in general, frankly. I mean, I'm a finance professional, and frankly, Europe is in trouble, not just Spain and Greece. But again, okay, we are the guys who are supposed to be in more trouble. Which means, from many points of view, that our resources are very scarce. So both Greece and Spain, we need to decide where to invest the small money that we have, very carefully, because what we do now is going to affect the life of our country very deeply for the next years. So from our perspective, I'm not a politician, I'm not in the government, I'm not the president of a bank. What can I do? What I can do is helping my country, my colleagues, my policymakers, everybody around me, helping them understand that technology is paramount to helping my country taking whatever place needed or we wanted in the incoming world. So I'm committed to saying to everybody that we should make this analysis in order to understand where to invest the little money that we have and making sure that we are investing that in a sound manner. And I'm also committed to understand that the best way possible to make an effective transfer of good technology, I heard this from you, it's not transferring technology, it's transferring good technology to the market, is using the best entrepreneurs, those primus inter pares, I mean, the brightest amongst the brightest. And to me, being part of the MIT Enterprise Forum is the opportunity of being in contact with the best technology entrepreneurs. So I believe in what I'm doing. I believe that I'm in contact with the best resources in terms of knowledge, in terms of entrepreneurs, and in terms of the ability to gather people around a phenomenal brand. And I think we can make a change. We are committed to that. In our country, everybody is listening to us, and we feel that we have not only the privilege, but also the obligation of doing this.
Thank you. I'm going to take some questions from the audience now, and while you think of them, unless someone shoots up their hand, I was going to ask one more question. So think of your questions while I ask one more question for Paloma. You're not a politician, I understand, but as a finance professional, you do have strong opinions about the things that the Spanish government can do to help foster entrepreneurialism and things they should not do. Could you describe both those sides of the coin, please?
Will you please shut off Twitter?
Yeah.
From the government point of view, first, don't bother. I mean, that would be one very simple thing. Just don't bother. Allow talent to flow naturally. Money goes naturally where opportunities are. Antoinette said that. I very much agreed with that. And so if you create opportunities, money goes where the opportunities are. So just don't bother. Eliminate all barriers. Have the investors, help the investors put their money in innovation and in technology. Help the startups and the entrepreneurs to incorporate as much as business as possible, and just don't bother. That will be my main recommendation to any government. And if you want me to be a little bit more granular, I would say that, again, what I said before, governments, invest carefully. What do you have?
Questions from the audience, please. There are mics.
Question. I'm the same person. Coming from the high-tech, I'm a physicist, a material scientist. What we have seen all these years, being a scientist, being an administrator from Democritus and so on, that you, the people that you are providing the money, you are not coming close to high-tech companies. And that it is a struggle for growth. I think you are going after established companies, opportunities, of course it's in your plans, but for young people, I have a lot of young students, postdocs, which they want to create something, but you don't come to give a hand to them. What we should do, or you should do, to get these people also on the train in your country, in my country, to really go for growth. It is very important, and I would like to add to that, that the lack of fast-track startup money in my country is strangling somehow the innovation spirit of the people.
Well, thank you for the question. First of all, I think that the money, in general, doesn't have a history of investing in technology, because technology investing is been here forever, frankly, but as a broader, as a bigger asset class, it's a recent phenomenon. So there is no tradition for the money to look, to having a look at technology-based investment opportunities. So first, one thing that should happen is that we helped learn the financial community how to invest in technology, which is a different thing than investing, for example, in real estate. So it's different, technically speaking, from lots of points of view. And actually, that's one of the things that we do at the MIT Enterprise Forum Spain, for example, and it was my recommendation to one of the leaders of the MIT Enterprise Forum Greece that you set a point of this. So there is a job to be done in order to helping investors understanding how to modelize, how to earn money out of investing in technology. That's one thing. But frankly, I don't think this is only the investors to blame. I think from the lab side, I'm presented with lots of opportunities every year. I wish I could invest, frankly, because my job is investing. I'm paid for investing. If I don't put my money in places, I'm not going to be paid. So my job is finding where to put the money. But people is very good probably at understanding technology, products, but they are not that good at understanding how to make a business out of it. So we need to help the entrepreneurs as well to address the money. So it's a two-sided job. And now, frankly, I would try to be very positive and constructive in terms of this. If you allow me, I could be a little bit tired about speaking, over and over the same thing. Investors would say, you cannot put your money in technology because it's going to be a total disaster. Nobody will be good at managing your money. And also from the technology world point of view, it's like you guys, you say you're venture capital, but you are no venture nor capital. The typical, every time I speak in public, I'm addressed by like 3 to 5 entrepreneurs saying, yeah, but you guys end up not investing. I've been here for 15 years investing in technology. I have a portfolio of startups myself. I've been in the world of companies of software, biotech, nanotech, you name it. So I'm pretty aware of technology. And I wish I could find more investment targets, frankly. So I think from a country point of view, what can be done is rather than trying to making big statements and pictures saying I'm putting this lots of money in seed capital, for example, facilities, that are probably going to be wasted in a big percentage, I will put money in educating investors to invest in technology and educating the lab people in running businesses. And that is going to be way more productive than trying to put seed money in people that is very good at product or technology, but is not going to be able to make a good use out of that, or trying to force the industry or to fund people that will be looking as good investors and maybe they are not, trying to having them putting money in technology projects. So let's be conscious that we are young. This is a young thing. Let's learn together, and talent will flow and things will happen.
You can understand the frustration of entrepreneurs, I imagine. They believe that venture capital is called risk capital for a reason, and they're hoping that one of the skills and talents that a great VC brings is being able to help them refine the business opportunity. Often they're technologists. They're sometimes, particularly in fields like biotech or material science, they're essentially scientists. And one of the things they want from you is to say, with my deep knowledge of the industry, here's where I think the opportunities are. So the question, I guess, is if there is an inability to communicate between, or failure to communicate between investors and entrepreneurs, how can we fix that as a community? How can we fix that with the Enterprise Forum?
Well, I was about to say that. You need to put people together. I mean, I wonder how many people here has been listening to these kind of things from a venture capital professional before. I don't know how many of you. But I think it is paramount that people gathers together and people explains to the other within a context that is not a business context. I mean, I'm not making a deal with anybody in this room. I'm just sharing my thoughts. So if you gather people in a context that is not a deal-making context, and you have people presenting, about what they feel and what they do, this is going to create lots of knowledge, and that is very much something that the MIT Enterprise Forum can do. And also in terms of picking the best technology entrepreneurs and having them gathering with the best technology-aware, technology-good venture capitalists. That is going to create not only knowledge, but also opportunities.
How detailed should a business plan be when they come to you? Because I know on the one hand, you're looking for real business opportunities. At the same time, I've heard many VCs tell me that they are profoundly skeptical when they are shown a 5-year plan with detailed numbers and detailed revenues attached to it.
I would say any 5-year business plan, even from a public big corporate, is,
it's worthless.
It's worthless, in my opinion. Needless, I mean, I never, frankly, what is important, I mean, I never believe in business plans whenever I'm presented to that. Of course, you need something because you need to understand the size, the potential size of things. And probably I would regard as useful a business plan in terms of understanding the kind of critical mass we might be talking about. But with this said, I mean, I don't care about business plans at all. What I care of is about execution plans. I mean, I will not buy an investment memo and a deck for investors that didn't include not only financial projections and numbers, blah, 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 which frankly I don't care, but if it didn't have a very well-explained execution plan. What we are interested in as investors, if we have a 5-year holding period, we need things to happen within a certain time frame. For example, if you have an execution plan and you are in terms of sales, for example, your plan would include that in the year 2, you will be in Greece. Year 3, you would have expanded to 3-4 countries in Europe. Year 5, I mean, so on. If you need to stick to that goal, I don't care whether you are doing this at the same, exact pace that your original business plan said. But you and me know that the value creation path for this company is these things happening across the time frame. Because also, if you are not in 2 or 3 countries outside Greece in the year 3, you're unlikely to be in the rest of the world in year 5. So in year 3, I'm able to forecast what is going to happen. And this creates lots of misunderstanding between venture capital and... But again, is execution what matters, not business plans. You need to understand how value is created and then do it.
There's a question here in the front, please.
Hi, my name is Mario. I'm Chief Scientist.
Let's wait for the mic because they're recording, please. Gio, there you go.
They invented the word.
Microphone. Does this work? Yeah.
Yes,
my name is Mario Skagalis. I'm Chief Scientist for a US-based company called Ventana Systems, and what we do is simulations and mathematical models for strategic planning. And one of the things that we've realized over the years, and it's a question to you, is how do you market things which are not low-hanging fruit? I think it relates to the question the gentleman there asked earlier. For most of the things, I mean, the markets have a short horizon. Investors, and rightfully so, they like to have a short horizon. You have a plan, you do something, and generally, for example, successful products are internet-based. You can put together a search engine that does this or that, but as we heard in another talk this morning, things that are recommendation search engines, for example, are harder. There are some powerful things that you can do with simulations, but and solve problems, for example. But one of the things that we've realized over many years is that they have an overhead. They have a longer development time, and they are in limbo for this. They are outside the academic world because they don't have sort of generic scientific interest. They're applications, but then as applications, they have a longer horizon than generally is palatable to investors. So what do you do with them? How do you fund them? How do you market them?
The question essentially is, how should venture capitalists and the entrepreneurial community as a whole think about commercializing technologies that have a very long development time, that are not low-hanging fruit, and whose final economic value isn't precisely known?
Well, that's a very technical question to me. Technically, from the investing point of view, value creation in financial terms would have to do with expectations in that case. It would not be based in fundamentals only in terms of KPIs or metrics. It will be a matter of, well, it always is. But especially when they're, in the situation that you are describing, you need to work with expectations. Because expectations are what is going to provide with the internal rate of return. We all know about companies that even having not sold anything have created value for investors. So challenge will be, of course, modelizing. And actually I'm aware that there is a group at MIT that is working in modelizing biotech, molecules, etc., behavior in terms of value creation in order to create a new asset class that we will be able to securitize in the capital markets, which is amazing. This will change the life of investing. So if you can modelize it one way or the other, I can understand how things are going to happen, and then I can use my financial knowledge to try to structure something that will create a return. But if you don't, so you can work on that in modelizing, etc., or simulations, etc., that will end up giving me something I can stomach. Otherwise, it will be a business of just expectations. So you need to be a genius of marketing, and maybe some people would be able to do that. But I would say I would not be very confident that based on expectation we would invest, in life sciences related things, because that is very much something that many times happens and many times wouldn't. So what you're doing, if you're working in simulations, or what this MIT group is doing, is amazing, and because in my opinion it could completely change the frame for investing in life sciences long-term maturation projects.
It's fair to say, though, Paloma, that traditional technology venture capital was created to fund IT and web and hardware, that it's good at relatively small amounts for a massive stake of equity and a return in a relatively short period of time, 5 to 7 years. And the problem with that is that that really only applies to a fairly narrow range of technologies. Venture capital has been very bad at investing in energy, in materials, and things like modeling. And with a couple of exceptions, it's not done a good job in biotech either.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, but that's the reason why we need, again, you need to understand that we are people that put our money on the table, and we need to provide our limited partners, the people who gave us the money to invest it, we need to provide them with a return within a given time frame. So we need to invest in things that we can predict somehow, because otherwise, it will be, of course there are models of investing based on, for ICT these days is like that, it's evolving into that, is shooting lots of bullets, whatever, and one day you will end up, hitting. But it's not that the model has failed, it is that we need, this is a young thing. We are growing. We need to learn how to put the two things together. For example, what you're doing is something that is helping create this match modelizing, etc. But frankly, venture capital, especially ICT and internet, is being crazy. I mean, for many points. I mean, for many reasons. And now I know that there is a new era. Entrepreneurs are not taking the same kind of deals that they used to. This thing that you said, they are not taking it anymore, especially the good ones, which are the ones we like. And also venture capital is starting a reflection because losses have been, big.
Well, essentially, your industry's been underwater for the last decade. Perhaps one last question before we go to our panel. Professor. We have a mic? There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you. I really appreciate the need to select those investments that have a higher probability of success. And also I understand that you would like to minimize risk as much as possible. Now, one situation I have encountered over and over again is that you're looking at a prospect for investing, and you say, this looks good if they could eliminate this risk. Why don't you go back in the lab, do some more experiments, and come back 4 months later so that this risk is not going to be there? So the people will do that, and actually this refers to the observation of Dr. Nyarkos. They do that, they come back 4 months later, but now another element of risk looms up, and you say, why don't you go back again? And this is kind of a slippery slope, and usually the way it's resolved is by competition. Another VC will look at that and will say, that's good enough for me and I'll take it. But that creates kind of herd mentality as well. And I'd like to know if you have any tools, if you have any ways by which you say that this is good enough for me and I'm ready to invest.
Well, that would mean that we will be magicians, I guess. I think that there's one thing, let me tell you a secret. There are bad professionals in the venture capital industry as well. So there is people that will see risk where there are no risks. There will be people that will be driving crazy entrepreneurs, frankly. There will be people that will be not qualified enough, and they will be there just because they have the money. So it might happen that sometimes, there are bad teams dealing with entrepreneurs sometimes. And let's face it, I mean, there are bad entrepreneurs as well. We are good and bad. So we don't have a limit for what is acceptable and what is not in terms of bearing risk. We need to modelize risk. It's not a sentiment. We tend to be technical, or at least we try to be technical. The better you are at modelizing, at being technical, at understanding the opportunities, combined, of course, with heart and nose, but you need to be fundamental. I mean, the best opportunity you have to hit your objectives. So we don't have, I don't know anybody that has there is a line. But many times what happens is that the guys on the lab really don't know what make things risky. So they fix something, but they create another risk. So maybe the dialogue between the venture capitalist and the technician should be better, a better quality dialogue. If I tell you that this thing is a risk, but I'm not explaining you why, you may eliminate this risk by creating other. But if I tell you why I feel this is a risk, or what kind of risks I see around what you're doing, then you will go back to your lab and we'll probably be able to produce something that is risk zero. So I think improving the dialogue between the parties is probably one of the most important things that need to happen. And that is what MIT Enterprise Forum could do as well.
So the great message I've taken from my conversation with Paloma is we need better conversations between entrepreneurs and venture capitalists. Paloma, thank you very much. I enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Vasily is going